I'm Randy Reed, editor of the Edison Report, and I am here with Jonathan Ayala. Jonathan is the principal of the Lighting Exchange. Jonathan, welcome.
Awesome. Thank you, Randy, for having me this morning.
Well, you bet. I've been fascinated about your business. You know, I first met you at a Cesco open house 4 or 5 years ago, and have really been very interested in your business. Tell our audience a little bit about what the Lighting Exchange does for reps as well as for lighting designers.
Sure, absolutely. So it's interesting. We've been in business for almost 8 years now, and of that time, about 2 years into our business, the Lighting Exchange was kind of vetted out and tested with some agencies, and we found a great opportunity just to help defragment our industry when it comes to how agents, manufacturers, and their customers communicate. So number one, the Lighting Exchange is a communications platform. It helps those stakeholders within this indirect model communicate faster, more efficiently. Certainly before times of COVID, where we're transitioning from analog to digital, it's been one of those systems that's helped companies scale themselves much faster, because as we communicate, sometimes if we're the first one to communicate with a customer, that makes the world of difference with leading the specification conversation. So those tools really are meant to help those stakeholders communicate, to work faster, using technology to help enhance their daily workflows.
Okay, when you say the stakeholders, who are your stakeholders? Are they the reps or are they the lighting designers?
Sure, absolutely. No, we are 100% focused on supporting lighting agencies throughout North America. We're very fortunate. We currently support over 75% of all C&I agents throughout North America. That adoption has come first by our experience as former agents, seeing some of the holes in technology and the gaps with communication. And that empathy that we show for the agent has really been adopted. But what our system has become today is absolutely based on the feedback of those agents. And as you know, the agent is, from our perspective, we feel the agent is the strongest link in the lighting sales funnel. They have the relationship, downstream with the specifier, with the architect, the engineer, and they support, on average, 100 manufacturers. And so that provides a great environment for that agent to be the leader in their territory, to communicate with their manufacturers upstream, with their customers downstream. So core customer is definitely agent, and then upstream it certainly has a byproduct that supports the manufacturer when working with them in this indirect model.
Okay, so let's just say that tomorrow I'm going to start an agency here in Nashville, Tennessee, and we're going to call it Randy's Lighting Agency.
Okay,
and
good
I'm
name.
going to have 20 lines to start with. What would be the first steps that we would do in working with you?
Absolutely. So our onboarding, we're really proud of our onboarding. And one thing that we preach to our team, and our team embraces, is that we are a customer service company that happens to build software, for the lighting industry. So the communication with our customers, it takes less than a week for us to completely onboard an agent, building the line card, getting their team scheduled for training, for full onboarding, and then allowing them to immediately start using the tools and realizing the impact of how they can work with their customers on projects, through education. We have, areas of our system that are geared towards education. So accredited AIA courses that, with our partners, that allow for courses to be taken in real time, on demand, which is important now, because lunch and learns and the shoulder to shoulder time, it is we're seeing less and less of that. So allowing a user to have access to the information, it is completely cloud-based, and so it allows for that interaction to happen completely in real time.
Okay, now how does the lighting designer benefit when working with a rep that works with the Lighting Exchange?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think there's a few different levels of how a designer benefits. Number one, being able to find information quickly from one location, but to have the support of their rep, their local rep. Email was never intended to be a project management tool. individuals using email to manage projects is a very inefficient, it's a very inefficient, workflow or strategy. And so one of the best things about the system is that everything happens together in real time. And what we really try to do is to take consumer behaviors that everyone's already used to, right? Everyone knows what Dropbox is, they know what Pinterest is, they know what Facebook is, or Amazon. Those consumer behaviors where you can find content in one location, you can simply pin it to your design boards, you can have conversations about products. That is the environment that we have created, and that's why it's been so successful with these stakeholders communicating, because they're already used to other platforms like Pinterest. But what it does for an agency and a manufacturer and a customer or a specifier is that it revolves that conversation around their line card. It revolves it around the lines that they have access to sell, and it makes it a more personal, intimate ecosystem for them to discuss projects and make that convincing sell.
Okay, and then how does a manufacturer fit into all of this?
Yeah, so the manufacturers, one of the things that we're very proud of in how we communicate with manufacturers is, number one, and a lot of manufacturers already get this, but for us, the agent is their first customer. They need to empower that agent as a customer to get them the information that they need. And one of the things that's a challenge that keeps us on our toes in this industry is that it's not just a B2B market. It is a B to B to B to B to B market. There are all of these different levels in this bigger ecosystem. So for a manufacturer, an agent has 100 lines roughly that they represent, and all of those manufacturers do it differently. Some have custom portals if you've got the budget. Some use Dropbox. Some use email. In 2018, we do surveys and questionnaires every year. In 2018, one of the top delivery mechanisms from a manufacturer to an agent in terms of learning presentations was through a thumb drive. And it just is baffling that in this day and age—
2018.
It's 28. This is back in just 2018. Okay. That is why we've built tools like a completely centralized learning management system that allows for presentations to be uploaded to the cloud that are instantly accessible by every regional salesman, by every agent that represents that manufacturer. And within a couple of seconds, that content can, number one, be distributed to alleviate the fragmentation that is out there. So, those thumb drives that, it makes sense, right? After a regional, makes their lunch and learn presentation with an agent, they put it on a thumb drive and they hand it over to them so that the agent can use it. But that's a very fragmented, way of delivering content. So there's much better ways for us to communicate. And so, for my manufacturers, to be a little more specific, what a manufacturer does is think of it like they're loading their content into a custom portal. And that custom portal is only accessible by their agents throughout North America. And so it provides a barrier of entry that's very, very low for them to now communicate in their own private ecosystem, get the agent everything that they need to go educate their customers, to build fixture schedules, complete project management, and to take that product or that content through its product journey as quickly as possible. And that is really that team effort using technology to allow them to work together at the same goal, which is, at the end of the day, they want to influence this customer, this specifier, to select that product. And so the fastest path is to work together to get that in the hands of that customer.
Well, you mentioned a lot about education and how the manufacturer can have education that gets pushed down to the reps. What if a manufacturer is launching a new product and they really want to promote that product? How would that work with the Lighting Exchange?
Sure. So one of the nice things that the system is capable of doing is it's real time. If a manufacturer wants to publish that new product, it's like making a Facebook post. You log in, you add a little bit of information. The goal is to drive the user to the manufacturer's product page. But what it does is it instantly communicates that out with their entire network of agents, places that within their line card as a featured product, and allows for the beginning of that product to now be placed throughout every marketplace. And it's a way that we can now scale, information because, typically the way that works is, right, manufacturer puts an email together, sends the agent an email, and, those open rates are usually less than 20% because agents are really busy, right? They're out making better relationships with their customers. And at the end of the day, to get that content on their website and help that manufacturer promote it, it's kind of an afterthought. And so for a manufacturer, they can make a post, it will instantly communicate downstream with all of their agents, place that content on their websites, but also arm them with it. So when they're searching for a 2-inch LED downlight that is square at 5,000 lumens, which you probably wouldn't make that combination, but if that's the case, their product can now show up instantly where that designer or the agent can now discover the product, add it to their fixture schedule, and really move through that discovery phase together seamlessly.
Okay, let's go back to that Facebook analogy. I am somewhat familiar with Facebook, and a manufacturer can have a posting on Facebook, and then they can pay to have Facebook really promote that. Do you do the same? Do you offer the same services where a manufacturer could pay extra to get that promoted?
Yeah, so a little bit different than the way Facebook does it, but manufacturers absolutely have a ton of tools on our free version. We do have a professional version, which provides for those manufacturers that want to push additional content. Education's a huge part of the spec cycle, right? Being able to include, full fleshed out presentations. Our system converts them to web-based presentations. So you don't need PowerPoint or Acrobat any longer. This is all completely web-based in the cloud that provides, complete accessibility for their network. Being able to, yes, promote certain products or to be just a better educator. One thing that this industry, I think, really struggles with are the case studies and the application photos. For a designer, that is, pictures can be worth 1,000 words. And allowing that designer to see and discover those case studies are really important in the conversion process from, hey, this is inspiring, to now I can see the products that are helping making this application photo, the recipe that makes this a great success. So yes, there are different tools. Managing a calendar. Right now, the average agent is managing over 50 webinars per week from their manufacturers. Okay, so that's a lot of things that are an agent not only is trying to absorb, but now they're trying to manage and learn and teach concurrently. So manufacturers can push out those webinar opportunities that all consolidate on the agent's dynamic calendar. So much more than just finding a product. Products are accessible all over the place, but it's the extra steps, the other things we're doing to educate the first customer, which is the agent, with that information, and then allow them to click a button and repurpose that information. Kind of like a video goes viral, right? When a video on YouTube goes viral, it's because the first person sees it and they share it with 3 people and they share it with 10 people. And before you know it, we can reach a level of scale in very minimal time because we're using and leveraging technology to enhance our communication.
Who pays the Lighting Exchange?
So agents are our core customer. Right now, again, 75% of CNI agents have adopted our system, and that's a number we're very proud of. But manufacturers do have the opportunity to also participate at a deeper level to work with their agents and provide more content. There's one thing that we're very passionate about, which is, I wouldn't say passionate about, one thing that we are, we're not aiming at the designer per se, right? Where our focus is at the agent level to give them the tools they need. So we don't charge specifiers or customers. We're really solely at the agent level, and then there are some manufacturer opportunities for those manufacturers that want to get more involved.
Okay, I understand. So in the age of COVID, we're not able to make sales calls as an industry for the most part. How has that affected your business?
Yeah, it's a great question. If there's any silver lining. You never want to be super excited about, how the business has been impacted in a good way from something that's, impacted our world so negatively. But purely from a business standpoint, from an engagement standpoint, our engagement has nearly quadrupled since close to close to May. So the past, 4 to 5 months, basically, the engagement is one thing, which means new users who are looking for digital platforms to work, versus the frequency of users who may have already been using the system. They might have been using it 5 times a week. Now they're using it 25 times a week. Okay. And so it's not just new engagement, but it's the frequency of engagement that's really important to look at as well. And the most important thing that we look at here is why that's happening. The COVID has obviously made businesses, think about things differently. It's challenged them to take on different processes. And when we first started getting into COVID, we were teaching people who aren't as familiar and comfortable with technology that we're not actually in a paradigm shift that's based on technology. Like, we're not in a technology shift at all. We are in a process shift. A technology shift, right? We're already used to using, Zoom or GoToMeeting. Like, we've been using these things for years. It's just becoming more frequent that we're having to rely on them. So for some individuals who are used to boots on the ground, making a sales call for an hour face-to-face in a room of engineers, we're shifting how we're accomplishing that because we're using, we're enabled by webinars. And that's the important thing to also consider, is that this is not a technology shift. These consumer behaviors have been around for a long time. What we're doing is we're changing our workflow. How do we change our behavior to embrace the technology so that we can still have and accentuate our interpersonal relationships with our customers?
Well, Jonathan, thank you very much. I have learned a lot, and I'm sure our audience will find this very beneficial.
Awesome. Thank you, Randy.